Hello, ladies. Um, we teachers often ask us how coding works, and they tend to struggle on how to code words. So the purpose of this video is just to explain a bit more about coding, as well as the role of the time to read sound chart and daily flashing of symbols. So, ladies, let's first see, why should we even code? Does coding actually solve a problem? Well, to find that out, let's first look actually what is the problem. We know that in terms of reading, at least 40% of children in grade 4 read below age levels. In terms of spelling, most teachers are frustrated that even in grade 1, but as well as grade 2 and 3, children do quite well on a Friday spelling test, but on Monday everything is forgotten. Now, what we as teachers need to understand is, why does that happen? And most importantly, can this actually change? Well, a huge answer, or the solution, actually lies in how the method of teaching reading and spelling. The present method, which is the eclectic method, usually uses memorization of whole words to teach reading and spelling. So often the spelling choices in words are random, they're not organized, and there's very little skill or understanding involved. Children are encouraged to just write what they can or what they hear. That becomes their default, especially in grade 1. Now, the problem with no skill and understanding actually affects our at-risk children most. Our at-risk children are the children who love to reason out things. That's why they usually are way better in maths than in English, because in maths they can use their logic, they can use their strength, reasoning. So following the eclectic method, 60% of children struggle to read at age levels in grade 4, and even a higher percentage struggle with spelling. Teachers often feel at this stage it's even up to 80% of children. Usually in grade 1, our little ones spell the word was like this. For frog, they leave out the r, and consonant blends, especially blends where the t sounds like a ch, they really struggle with. In terms of reading, words like in, come, frog, rabbit, and television are difficult for them. What research has shown is that the eclectic approach is actually the exact opposite way round of how written words were invented. During training, we really covered this in quite depth, that written words come from spoken words, not the other way around. So if we want to teach children how the spoken word is turned into a written word, we must start with the spoken word. In other words, we start with the process of spelling. We don't start with the written word and then work back to spelling. We start with the spoken word. And the first step of turning the spoken word into the written word is to actually just say the word. But then the children need to hear each phoneme in the word. So actually they need to segment the word into its phonemes. And this is where coding comes in. Coding encourages children to first listen to the phonemes before they spell them. So in other words, it kind of breaks them to first think, listen, and think about what they're going to write. Once they've heard every phoneme, then they can turn it into the grapheme or just simply spell it. As you can once again see, reading is the last step. It's step number 4. So for reading, the children read each individual grapheme, de orge, but they also need to blend it to get back to the beginning. of where we said the word dog. So ladies, you can clearly see that the invention of written words follows a logical pathway. Children can reason it out, and this is the gift we are giving our at-risk children. However, this solution, teaching words the way they were invented, our at-risk children have two challenges. The first challenge is auditory processing. These children are not by default phonemic aware, which means segmenting and blending is a struggle for them. This is why they leave out a r, for example, in frog, and they can't hear the t, r properly in train. The second challenge, and children can have one or the other or both. The second challenge is the visual challenge. It's turning phonemes into graphemes and graphemes back into phonemes for reading. So in terms of our job as teachers, if we want to catch the at-risk children, we have to work on these challenges. So from grade R term 1, we teach phonemic blending and segmenting, because we know by doing that we are closing the gap. We are addressing what 27,000 studies have proven is their challenge, is the deficit. We are addressing that. Then, as we go through the years, we teach them the code. We teach them how to turn phonemes into graphemes and graphemes back to phonemes. In other words, how symbols work. In English, as you all know, phonemes are not as straightforward as, for example, in Afrikaans and African languages. In English, there is a bit more involved, but step by step, we help them understand that, for example, after a w, the a is not written as the a that we normally know. It's written with an a. And then we teach them to spello read, that when they read the word was, they read it as was, with a soft s sound. And in the word train, when we spello read it, we slowly read it as terrain, very clearly. In other words, we teach children how words work, and specifically how the phonemes and graphemes work together in words. And if we do that, then we can actually achieve that 95% of our children become confident spellers, but even 100% of our children become confident readers in terms of decoding or in terms of reading, identifying words, mechanical reading. Comprehension, there we really need to work strongly on vocabulary as well. Right, so you will remember from training, we address the phonemic awareness in terms of the auditory processing skills children need, as well as the understanding of symbols. And as you've just seen, the deficit can be either one or both. And ladies, children will not survive with only having one of them. They need both. If we want to catch our at-risk children, they need the auditory processing skills as well as the understanding of symbols. But now, if we come to coding, coding is just simply where children hear every phoneme in the word. So in other words, it's first step 1, say the word dog and sound it out. D, o, g, sh, ip, s, n, ek. And you will remember from training that n is not treated as one sound. It's two distinct sounds, s and n. And in systematic phonics programs, there they treat it as one. We don't at time to read. Once children can hear every phoneme, they need to code it with different, at Time to Read, we have 4 different coding buttons. The first coding button is when the phoneme is written with one letter. It's represented by a sound dot. D, O, and G are each written with one letter, so they're represented with the sound dot. But for all our digraphs, consonant or vowel digraphs, or trigraphs or quadgraphs, doesn't matter, whenever there's more than one letter, like in the sh and the E in sheep, then those phonemes are represented with a sound line. Now, when we have that smiley E or smiley long vowel, then we use a sound smile to represent it. So in sn, so you can see this and the n both get a dot. We don't make a line there. They both get a dot because it's 2 sounds. Terrain, the t and the r would both get a dot. Frog, f and r both get a dot. Now that a phoneme, because the E is at the end of a word, we represent it with a sound smile. Important, the children need to know the sound is in the middle. It's just the letter that is at the end. Now the 4th coding button actually mostly appears in multisyllable words. And in multisyllable words, before we start coding, we just clap the word. Remember, we said it's like eating an orange. When we eat an orange, we break it in half first. So the word tiger, we clap it. Tiger. And then each clap is actually treated just like a word. So in tiger, the first clap is tie, t, I, and then we have ger, g, and that has 2 letters. But in Time to Read, we know that long vowel at the end of a clap, which means it's an open syllable. What is an open syllable? An open syllable ends with a vowel. A closed syllable ends with a consonant. So tie is an open syllable. And whenever we hear an open syllable at the a long vowel at the end of an open syllable, it stands alone. It doesn't have a friend. Usually the long vowel has a friend, but not at the end of a clap. To I go. Robot, we clap it, robot. In row, we hear o and then b-ot. Now once again, that o, long vowel at the end of a clap, is coded with a standalone. Ladies, once children can hear this long vowel at the end of a clap, it sorts out so many spelling programs. And it will start, once it needs to become a default to listen to the vowels and their positions. I just want to mention, when we have a long vowel at the end of a word with one letter, like in cry, then we don't use a standalone. We just simply use a dot. Or like in baby, that E at the end, the letter Y at the end of baby, we just simply use a dot. So ladies, those are the 4 different sound buttons. So let's just quickly recap. What is coding? It's the ability to hear every phoneme in either a clap or a word, and then represent it with a dot, line, smile, or standalone. So ladies, can you see that this forces our at-risk children to first stop? Before they write, they need to stop and think. They need to listen and then think about how these phonemes will be turned into graphemes. So why is it so effective? Because it addresses the challenge or the deficit of the at-risk child. We directly help them solve their struggle through reasoning. When do we do coding? When you do your Monday morning lesson. So This is really when you introduce your spelling choices, especially in grade 2 and 3, ladies, coding is such a powerful way to teach the children how words work. Once the children have coded the word, they can obviously spell them: dog, sheep, and snake. Here we know that the struggle is the correct spelling choice. And always remember, especially grade 2 and 3 teachers, that look who's in front of you. If it is an at-risk child, the fact that they maybe get the correct sound, they choose the correct phoneme, just the incorrect spelling choice, for them is quite an achievement. Obviously, decoding, that's the easier part. That we can really achieve fantastic results with. In tiger, robot, both the reading and spelling is not that difficult. Please remember also how important our sound chart is, because it helps children really see the English struggle, where a phoneme can have multiple graphemes like these different A's. On our sound chart, they really represent it so logically. Once again, our at-risk children love the logic. They love to know all the ones we hear in the middle are in one group. The graphemes where we hear them at the end of the word are together, and then, of course, the ones at the end of the clap. Then also the opposite, where a symbol can have multiple phonemes. The letter Y is just such a fantastic example, where it can represent the Y, I, or E sound. Once again, our vowel sound chart is amazing, because we see that the color is different, so the sound is different. Now, ladies, this is such a nice summary on the Time to Read gaming app, where Meg explains the word hibernate so clearly.
Are you ready to build some words? First, let's listen to the number of claps in the word. Hibernate. Hibernate. I can hear 3 claps, so I'll tap the number 3. Next, let's listen to the number of sounds in each clap. You can always tap the clap line to listen to the clap. Hi, p, I. I can hear 2 sounds, so I'll tap the 2 blocks. Burr, b, I can hear 2 sounds, so I'll tap the 2 blocks. Nate, n, a, t. I can hear 3 sounds, so I'll tap the 3 blocks. This is a sound dot. We use it when a sound is written using only one letter, like the T in pot. Here we have a sound line. We use it when a sound is written using more than one letter. Can you see that a sh has 2 letters? This is a sound smile. We use it when 2 letters are split to make a sound, like the A in name. And this is a standalone. We use a standalone when we hear a long vowel at the end of a clap. Then we spell it using one letter only. That's why we call it a standalone, like the A in paper. Now code with me. P, I is at the end of a clap, so it's a standalone. B, n, A has 2 letters split, so we give it a sound smile. T. Great job! Now let's spell our words. P. Next, let's add the I sound. Let's open the long vowels. B. Next, let's add the sound. Let's open the extra vowels. N. Let's add the A sound. Let's open the long vowels. Now let's finish the word with the last sound. Spelling.
Ladies, what I especially love is that the categories Short vowels, long vowels, extra vowels, and consonants are so clearly split for the children. Can you see how they really develop their spelling skills through this activity? Then, ladies, what I want to highlight is the only way to automaticity is revision. So word building is something that has to happen daily, and our flashing of cards, I'll get into that as well. So grade 2 and 3 teachers, please don't take down your alphabet freeze. It really has a purpose, and please display your vowel chart where it's clearly seen by all children. It really becomes an anchor, especially for the at-risk children. As you can see in Hibernate here, all the little different sound buttons are used, and they are so nicely represented on the sound chart. We also like that the sound chart is color-coded, so the children can see all the A's according to their positions are nicely sorted. The rare spellings also written in small. Why? Because we don't use them a lot. And as I mentioned, the alphabet freeze has still such a good purpose, because those consonants, like the double M or the MB, you can just add them in small. So don't take down your alphabet freeze at this stage. Now, lastly, flashing of symbols. Ladies, for both reading and spelling, our children need to become fluent, automatic in their symbol knowledge. When we teach reading and spelling, think about it this way. All we need to do is we need to teach the one side, auditory processing, the blending and segmenting, the other side, symbol knowledge. If we do maths, we have algebra, we've got geometry, we've got measuring time, we've got counting money. There are so many millions of little things in maths that we've got to teach. But for reading and spelling, our children need to become encoders and decoders. Encoders of sounds, decoders of symbols. But for that, they need to know the code. And your best weapon, easiest weapon, is flashing. They need to, for example, know that that's the l at the end of clap words. 75% of the time they will be correct, but they need to know the detail. It's the l at the end of clap words, not short words. This a, for example, that can also be a long vowel A in baby, or an O sound in was or what. You need to, every day when you flash these, you need to highlight every single day whatever you've taught. That's really important. Our flashcards have that at the back, even in our homework books. When we give the parents flashcards, they are also given with all this at the back. It's really important that they know that. Just speaking about that, just the growth through the years. If we look at the R spelled with an A in grade 1, was, want, want, once, and so on, we only have a few words. But in grade 3, we already have lots and lots and lots of words. And we always present them in a way that the children can find the pattern easily. Once again, because our at-risk children love patterns. Then, ladies, obviously, when your children have their word list, they can also code the words on the word list. In grade 2 and 3, you will, however, see that we never encourage coding the whole word. We only encourage coding the noun, because otherwise it's just dots, lines, and whatever's everywhere. It's too much. So, ladies, thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this useful. Please let us know if you need some more of these videos.